Hello, chess fans. I wanted to check out this game played in Titled Tuesday, last Titled Tuesday. Faustino Oro. If you haven't heard about him, you've been missing out. Pretty incredible. This little guy, 9 years old. In March, he became the youngest master in history. 9 years old, youngest master in history. So he breached 2,200 back in March. He just recently, about 15 days ago, broke the 2,300 mark. He's been just kind of crushing everybody. This game actually a 5 minute, or excuse me, it's not a 5 minute game. It's a 3 minute game. So they're playing Blitz here. And I don't know who Wind Whistler 11 is. Rated 2576. They have Faustino Oro as 1984 here, which, no, he's not 1984. Chess.com rated this game, said that he played this game at a level of 2750. So super grandmaster. 9 years old playing at 2750 in a 3 minute blitz battle. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So the person with the grandmaster rating 2576 starts with the ready, and Faustino responds with knight to f6. We have g3 and now pawn to d5. You should play pawn to d5 if you can get away with it as black. You want to play d5, take up that room in the center if you get the opportunity. And white attacks, and Faustino goes with the Carl Khan defense, which is why I chose this game. I do like the Carl Khan myself. We have bishop to g2, and now bishop to f5 by Faustino. In the Carl Khan, a lot of times you end up trading off that light squared bishop. You kind of put your pawns a lot of times on the white squares and then trade off that bishop, although that doesn't really happen early here. We have pawn to b3 and now pawn to e6 by Faustino, and this is all book moves. You can see they've used almost no time on their clock. 4 seconds for Faustino and about 10 for the player playing white. Castles, and now pawn to h6, which is a book move, although yeah, it seems like bishop to c5 or something would make more sense. I'm not quite sure why this h6 move is played here. We have bishop to b2 now by white, and Faustino moves his bishop to e7. Pawn to d3 by white, and now castles by Faustino. And this is still in book. So these guys playing master moves using almost no time on their clocks. Knight now, I should say knight b to d2 by white, and Faustino plays knight b to d7. We have queen to c2 by white, and Faustino drops his bishop back to h7. And this is the actual last book move as white plays rook to d1, or I should say rook a d1, which is an inaccuracy. The computer's saying instead pawn to a3 would have been better, but we'll continue. We have pawn to a5 by Faustino, and now pawn to a3 by white. Faustino moves his queen to c7, and now we have pawn captures on d5 by white, pawn captures on d5 by black by Faustino. And normally we would like to capture with the c pawn, but of course you can't do that here because it would hang a queen. So this was the best possible move in position for Faustino. We have pawn to e4, striking the center for white, and Faustino goes ahead and captures. That's being called an inaccuracy, saying it would have been better to go ahead and develop the rook to e8. We have d captures on e4 by white, and Faustino moves his f rook to e8. We have knight to d4 by white, and Faustino moves his a rook to d8, kind of centralizing these rooks. Rooks really do like open files. This is an open file because there's no pawns on it, so that's an excellent spot for a rook. Knight now to f5 by white, and Faustino does go ahead and capture that knight. Again, as I mentioned in the Carl Khan, a lot of times you'll trade off your light squared bishop for a knight or for the other bishop, which is not normally what you would do in most openings, but the Carl Con, this is just kind of the way you do it. We have E captures on f5, of course, by white, and Faustino moves his knight to b6. White moves the knight to f3, and now Faustino moves his knight to d5. Rook to e1 by white, I should say rook fe1 by white, and now bishop to f6 by Faustino. White trades bishops with bishop captures f6. We have knight captures f6 by Faustino. The rooks are facing off on the center of the board. And now white plays queen to c5. You can see the computer says that actually trading rooks here would be a better move, but this is an okay move by white. Faustino now moves his knight, I should say knight b to d5. And now white does go ahead and trade the e-file rook. We have rook captures on e8, rook captures on e8 by Faustino, and now knight to d4 by white. Faustino moves his rook to e5, threatening a discovered attack on the queen, so she repositions to c2, and Faustino now moves his queen to b6, saying it would have been better to just go ahead and create a battery on the e-file, but playing queen to e7. But again, they're playing 3-minute chess. They're not always going to be able to find the best move. They're down to just around a minute each now. We have bishop f3 by white, and Faustino drops his rook back. Faustino drops his knight back to c7. King now to g2 by white, and Faustino moves his knight to kind of a strange square on a6, evidently not wanting to trade knights. The computer suggesting it would have been better to offer that trade on b5, but we'll continue. White plays rook to d3, being called an inaccuracy, so not the strongest move. Queen to c3 might have been better. Faustino now moves his knight to c5, attacking that rook, and white repositions the rook to the e-file to e3, which is being called a mistake, saying instead he should have just dropped his rook back to d1. Faustino captures here, and captures on e3, and then we have pawn captures on e3 by white, and now knight to d7, I should say knight c d7 by Faustino. Queen to c3 by white, and now knight to e5 by Faustino. White moves the bishop back, not wanting to trade. This is being called an inaccuracy. Instead, pawn to e4 may have been better. Faustino now attacks the queen with knight to d5, and white moves the queen back to d2. We have queen to c5 by Faustino, attacking that pawn on the a-file. Faustino doesn't, and then white plays bishop to f3, which is a mistake. He should have saved his pawn with pawn to a4. Faustino goes ahead and grabs the bishop. Knight captures on f3. We have king captures on f3, best possible move. And now Faustino does pick up an extra pawn here. We have pawn to e4 by white. This is the best possible move in the position. Faustino repositions his knight to f6, and now pawn to e5. Once again, best possible move by white. Faustino moves his knight back to d5, and now we have pawn to e6. Once again, best possible move in the position. Faustino plays pawn to c5, and this is actually a mistake. He should have just gone ahead and captured that e6 pawn, but we'll continue. We have the blunder knight to b5 by white. He's only down, he only has 14 seconds, so he's running out of time. Did not think that move out. You should always consider checking moves. Pawn captures f7 would have been the strongest move here. Faustino captures the pawn on b3, and this is why it's a blunder. There's really no way to save the knight, or at least part of the reason why it's a blunder. Pick up the pawn and attack the knight. Of course, Faustino's knight is also in trouble here. If queen captures, well, then queen can capture this one as well. White plays king back to g2, and Faustino plays knight to e3 check. We have king to h3 by white, and Faustino actually grabs the pawn on f5 since and now we have queen to d8 check. Faustino moves his king to h7, only possible move, and now pawn to e7, looking to promote here by white. Faustino captures that pawn, and now white captures the knight. Faustino captures white's knight, and Faustino's up 4 points here, although pawn falls as queen captures f7. We have queen to d3 by Faustino, and white picks up the b7 pawn. We now have pawn to c4 by Faustino, and queen to a6, pinning that pawn to the queen. Queen to f5 by Faustino, and now pawn to g4. This is being called a mistake. Instead, the king should have moved to g2. Faustino plays queen to f3 check, and now we have king to h4 by white. Faustino now plays pawn to g5 check, and now the white king is forced to go to an unfortunate square there on h5, and Faustino then checkmates him. White only had 5 seconds on the clock. Faustino still had 22 seconds. So this 9-year-old boy crushing this 2576 player. So that's like grandmaster rating. 2500 is grandmaster. Although, as I said, Faustino played at 2750 as rated by chess.com. Meanwhile, white played about 2400 in this game. So pretty incredible. Faustino Oro. I will be making many videos on his games. He is, again, the youngest master in human history at just 9 years old. Rated over 2300 now. And actually his blitz chess is now around 2700. So, which is just incredible. And so yeah, Faustino Oro of Argentina is like the phenom of phenoms, just incredible. Please join me. Please like and subscribe, as I will be posting more of his games. I'm also doing chess tactics many times a week. You can check that out if you want to improve your game. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.